Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. My name is Mumina. I'm a registered dietitian, and in today's video we're going to talk about all matters hypertension, commonly referred to as blood pressure, because it is a serious condition that is affecting each and every one of us. I am sure you have heard or seen someone collapse or succumb and you're wondering what happened. This guy or this lady looks perfectly healthy. Well, that is blood pressure. It is a leading silent killer in the world, and in Kenya it's silent because our health seeking behavior is terrible. By the way, we don't go to hospital. We only go to hospital when severe complications associated with conditions like hypertension, something like kidney disease, heart complication, or even premature death have occurred. That is when majority of us get diagnosed with blood pressure, and it's quite unfortunate because diagnosis of blood pressure can be done even at your local pharmacy, your local chemist, at the comfort of your home area. You don't even have to go to hospital to have your blood pressures checked. The normal life course itself, being alive, is already a risk factor to hypertension. You need to ensure every once in a while you have your blood pressure checked if you are above 25, because there is a direct link of occurrence of hypertension and age. The other risk factors, we have obesity, we have conditions like diabetes, we have chronic stress, we have poor dietary choices, and we also have a sedentary lifestyle and poor sleep patterns. In today's video we're going to talk about some of the dietary approaches that you can use or you can share with someone who has blood pressure or has issues with controlling their blood pressure, because blood pressure can be controlled and it should be controlled. So the first thing that you are going to do to control your blood pressure is control your sodium intake. With the current social media educators that we have telling people to consume as much salt as they like because it will not spike their blood pressure, that is just digging a grave for you if you have hypertension or if you are at risk of hypertension. I agree that the body has a regulation system to ensure that it controls the excess intake through the kidneys, but you see, if you are at risk of hypertension, you are overloading your system for nothing. And again, sodium has been associated with increased water retention, which increases blood pressure, because sodium is an essential ion. You still need it for normal functioning for the heart, iron and fluid balance. If your blood pressure is actually controlled, you can go up to 2300 milligrams a day. That is 1 tablespoon. This should include all the hidden salt sources like in the processed food, fruits and vegetables, like in the normal foods. But if your blood pressure is not well controlled, you need to go lower than 1500 milligrams a day to reduce the water retention, to reduce the burden on your kidneys and all those conditions. The second thing that you need to do is control your intake of sugar. There's a direct link between fructose intake and metabolic syndrome, and one of the characteristics, one of the conditions that comes out with metabolic syndrome is high blood pressure. In fact, I usually say if you have any metabolic condition like high blood pressure, high blood sugar, high cholesterol levels, pre-diabetes, central obesity and such, you have no right or you have no reason putting up or drinking up tea with sugar, eating the sweetened cake, drinking sodas, and even all those processed and refined foods, or even the artificially sweetened foods. Of course, we have excess sugar intake and lack of physical exercise being the main culprit of inflammation. I understand that life is for the living, and that is why we allow consumption of the naturally occurring organic sources like fruits and vegetables. This is because they come with additional nutrients like fibers. They come with vitamins, minerals, phytonutrients that are very important in controlling inflammation in your body, improving gut functionality, and all this improve your metabolic health, which will help you improve blood pressure in the long run. Of course, you're not going to select the sweetest fruits, or even if you select those ones, you need to limit their intake. Do not overdo them, because we've said that you can take up sweet fruits, things like berries, apples, sour mangoes. They are quite good, and they are also very rich in all these minerals that you are going to talk about, because inflammation is a serious marker of disease, including metabolic syndrome. The third thing that you need to do is increase your intake of potassium. So potassium counters sodium. and prompts elimination of excess sodium in the body. But you're also going to control intake. You're not going to overdo the potassium because you don't want to like overburden your system, that is basically your kidneys, with overregulation of the excesses that you're going to consume. Consumption of fruits and vegetables that are rich in potassium, things like bananas, avocado, things like nuts, they are great for potassium, they are great for healthy fats, they're also great for fibers and such. So anything that is going to actually improve blood flow is very good for your blood pressure, and potassium does that. It improves heart function, increasing the ease of flow for your blood, reducing blood pressure. The next thing that you're going to do is actually control your intake of protein. Protein is an essential macronutrient. That means it is required in large amounts every other day for normal cell repair, cell renewal, muscle building, blood formation, fluid and electrolyte balance. That is very essential for blood pressure control. So you need to ensure that you are consuming adequate amounts of protein. But I have talked about controlling intake. Why? Because overconsumption of protein is going to overload your kidneys with extra work, and if you have hypertension, you want to spare or to limit the burden of function in that area as much as you can. Overconsumption of protein is going to increase circulating ammonia, which translates to uric acid that needs to be excreted in the kidneys. And you see, this again is also going to increase your risk of getting gout, arthritis, and all these inflammation conditions that are caused by too much accumulation of uric crystals. Consumption of variety of proteins from both plants and animals is very much encouraged to ensure that you harness or you actually get all the nutrients, all the vitamins, macros and micros from both sources. The next thing that you're going to do to actually help you control blood pressure is actually control your fluid intake. As I said earlier, hypertension is characterized by an increase in water retention in the body. The kidneys are the primary organs tasked with fluid control and balance. We still need to make sure that we are well hydrated because you need water for all the metabolic functions in your body, for excretion, for digestion, and all these processes that require water as a medium, as a reactant, or as a solvent. Also, on fluid intake, you need to be cautious about the type of fluids that you're going to take. You need to limit intake of fluids like sodas, fluids like fruit juices. Ensure that you're taking up healthy fluids, things like water, things like healthy broths, wheatgrass, chia seeds, fenugreek, herbal teas. You're also going to increase your intake of other phytonutrients that are needed to ensure that they support your metabolic function and your metabolic health, and this will help you in controlling and regulating blood pressure in the long run. And if you are like your blood pressure control is critically ill, please work with a dietitian to ensure that you are not taking up more than you should, because you see, depending on how well or how bad you control your blood pressure, your fluid limits or your fluid intake will definitely be limited to a certain amount a day. You can go up to maybe as low as 500 or 800 if you don't have any output, or you can go up to maybe 2 or 3 liters a day. You need to make sure that you sit down for an assessment so that you can have your fluid limits properly calculated within your dietary intake, urine output, and within your blood medication. And do not ignore that fact. Ensure that you take care of your fluids, because that is what we are trying to ensure, that there is flow effectively with high blood pressure. Oh, and before I forget, it is also very important to ensure that you watch on toxicity when it comes to your herbs and your other natural supplements to avoid overburdening the excretion organs, that is the liver and the kidneys. So the next thing that you're going to do is control carbohydrate intake. Carbohydrates, just like any other macronutrient, that is fats, protein, they are essential nutrients. However, overconsumption of carbohydrate has been associated with an increase in metabolic disorders like insulin resistance, diabetes, hypertension, and all that, whether whole or refined. You don't need to overconsume your carbohydrate because you're going to alter and affect insulin resistance, and insulin resistance is also a risk factor to metabolic syndrome that is characterized by an increase in blood pressure. Switch your intake to whole, healthy carbohydrates. Increase non-starchy carbohydrates, things like fruits and vegetables. Reduce intake of over-refined and the starchy carbohydrates. Make sure that your meal and your plate is well balanced with all the other essential nutrients like vitamins, fats, protein, to ensure that you are not over consuming one particular nutrient alone. In Kenya, we have that habit of over consuming like skuma and ugali, or rice and we don't do rice and cabbage or rice and waru. That is just a typical high carbohydrate kind of meal. Make sure that you're taking up something like rice, you do ndengu, you can do cabbage, you can do ugali, you do an egg, you can do skuma and add an avocado. That is a very dense, nutritious, dense meal that will keep you full for longer, that will help you control your blood sugars, and if well planned, it is also essential in reducing the occurrences of blood pressure. So work on controlling intake of carbohydrates. If you can go low carb, selection of the less starchy carbohydrates. Of course, intake of things like whole grains is preferred because you're going to increase your intake of fiber, phytonutrients, like things like legumes. They have iron, they have other macronutrients that are very essential in how your body and how your blood is actually functioning, and this will help with blood flow, blood volume, and this will reduce the occurrences of blood pressure. Another thing with excessive carbohydrate intake, it has been associated with hormonal imbalances, from leptin to ghrelin to insulin and to cortisol and to other like estrogen and progesterone, that all these affect how your metabolic system works, and this will predispose you to metabolic conditions like blood pressure. Let's shy away from doing excessive intakes of carbohydrates, whether male or female. It is essential. The next thing that you're going to do is actually increase your intake of healthy fats. Overconsumption of unhealthy fats, things like margarine, things like the seed oils, trans fats, has been associated with increased levels of bad blood cholesterol that has been shown to increase occurrences of conditions like hypertension, conditions like heart disease, stroke, and cardiac arrests. But consumption of healthy fats, things like nuts, things like fish oils, omegas, omena, things like avocado, butter, ghee, all these have been shown in very recent studies by the way to improve cholesterol markers and reduce the occurrences of things like blood pressure, cardiovascular diseases, and other conditions. This is also important because it is going to help you with controlling weight. Obesity has been associated with occurrences of hypertension, and you see, when you consume fats, you get fuller for longer because fats are filling. You limit the amount of times that you're going to consume foods or meals or snacks, and when this happens, you reduce your caloric intake, and this will help you in the long run with weight management. The same thing applies to fiber and water consumption, but as we have said, with water you have to make sure that you're watching your intake if your blood pressure is not well controlled. It is important and it is key. So the next thing that you're going to do is actually physical exercise. We cannot have control of metabolic condition without physical exercise. In fact, studies have revealed that physical exercise is one of the key, like next to diet, it's physical workout. You have to work out. Physical exercise improves how your blood flow, improves waste elimination, toxin excretion, reduces inflammation in your body. Planned workouts are very essential, and they are going to help you with stress management, sleeping better. You can use the gym or workouts as a way of relieving all those anger or all those frustrations, because life is hard. And as I said, if you are an adult, stress is inevitable. Routine exercise has been associated with a strengthened cardiovascular system that is capable and able to self-regulate better when it comes to matters blood pressure. Over-exercising is, however, cautioned against. So make sure that you tailor your workout routine with your heart health in mind, and let's get moving. Because you have talked about exercise, do not overstretch it. Let's go easy on that. I usually recommend that you start slowly, then you work your way up. Start with cardio, like maybe treadmill, then you can get into maybe strength training. As you strengthen your muscles, then you can get maybe to HIIT, but do not do something that is too drastic for your heart, because you will elevate things that are not needed. So the next thing that you're going to do is stress management. Stress is one of the leading causes of diseases in the modern world. Provided you are alive and you are an adult with responsibilities, you're bound to have stress. Stress is inevitable. Chronic occurrences of stress has been associated with increased blood pressure. That goes without saying. Like, it is known, if you have exposure to too much stress, you're going to have blood pressure, or you're going to risk yourself to get in blood. That is why you see someone, mtu anachagua nyanya, they are picking tomatoes in the market, and then they just fall down and go because of too much stress and such. Chronic stress has also been associated with metabolic syndromes that is characterized by high blood pressure. So overproduction of cortisol leading to overproduction and overneed of insulin, leading to insulin resistance leading to metabolic syndromes and hypertension. Things like yoga, journaling, meditation, taking walks, sharing with a friend, listening to your favorite music, dancing if you like dancing. You can also do things like maybe cooking if you prefer. Like for me, cooking is therapeutic, so it does make me happy. Purpose to ensure that every other day you engage in those activities to ensure that you control, and you should control, stress. Those are some of the effective strategies to help with controlling hypertension. Please remember that you and I are different. All these strategies our bodies will adapt to and actually work with differently. So do not be too harsh on yourself if you start a healthy routine or a routine and then things take time to pick up. Just be patient enough. Make sure that you're working with a dietitian or a qualified professional to ensure that they walk you through the different steps and the different reactions that your body will have. And I hope that this video really helped. If it did, kindly consider subscribing and share with someone who has hypertension or high blood pressure, or they're having issues with controlling their blood pressure, because hypertension should and it must be controlled for us to live longer and ensure that we enjoy all this that the planet Earth has to offer. We are not going to leave anytime soon. So consider subscribing, give this video a like to support my channel to grow. And if you're looking for a dietitian to work with you if you have hypertension or any other metabolic condition like diabetes, insulin resistance, fertility, PCOS, name them, we have individualized package care plans for each and every one of you. Thank you for watching, and until next time, bye. Please forgive the noise in my background. It has refused to go.